in the corner, Berry.
Rick Berry has not missed a free throw against Washington. Now it is Berry. Back to Clifford Ray. Goes to Rick Berry.
Golden State getting that ball moving. Intended for Berry. Berry, look at that pass. Rick Berry. Look at that shot, would you?
You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
Berry wants to make a move and three. There's a Berry. He's got his shot.
Well, this summer, boy, I'll tell you, it's been hot in a lot of places. Chicago's been up to almost 100 degrees, so I hope it's not too bad wherever you are. But here I am with my sidekick, the surf man himself. That's right. He's always out there surfing when he can. How's the surfing out there right now?
There's surprisingly some size. Although I haven't been out of the water for a little bit because my mom threw away my wetsuit. Rick, I don't know. Like you have a lot of surfing in your lineage. I saw a picture the other day of your son Scooter surfing. I don't know how good he is. We know Brent's a really good surfer. Canyon surfs. So I don't know how familiar you are. You said you've surfed before, but it was over in warm waters where you didn't have to deal with the wetsuit. Wetsuits are not cheap. They are expensive. And my wetsuit was at my mom's place. I went to go grab it, and she goes, "Oh, I threw that dirty thing away." I'm like, "Excuse me? Like that's a $200 item you just tossed because you thought it was moldy." And anyway, so I got to buy a new wetsuit. Sorry for the tangent there. But
Surfing wasn't for me at the start. Actually, it wasn't for me because I found that out actually back in 1965 when I was on my honeymoon in Hawaii, and I realized I went out to try to go and see if I could surf and try because I had never done it before. And I was killing myself out there. Wound up because I didn't have a shirt. I wound up with my breast, raw and stuff from paddling and all that. And I come in and these Hawaiian guys over there, and they're kind of laughing a little bit. I said, "What's so funny?" He says, "Hey, man," he said, "there's no way you surf on that board. You're too big for that thing." I mean, and so I said, "Well, that's nice. Why didn't you tell me that, an hour and a half ago, so I didn't kill myself out here?" But no, it's tough. You got to have really, really super great balance, and all my sons can do it. Canyon has great balance. He does zip. He can do slack lining and go out in the slack line and down and kneel. I mean, it's crazy how good he is.
And for anyone, and Rick, this goes for you and for anyone else. If the balance, you're absolutely right. Surfing requires a tremendous amount of balance. And I grew up not being good at I just didn't have natural balance myself, right? But I ended up being a sponsored snowboarder. I'm a pretty good surfer, and a huge reason for that. And this is if anyone else is interested in developing your balance and getting better at it, you can. It's all about building your core. I didn't realize until I started training just how important your core is for your balance. And on top of that, they sell this item. It's called an endo board. It's spelled INDO space, second word is board. And it's literally just this cylinder tube, and you put a wooden board shaped thing on it, and you just balance. You just stand on it. You're risking injury, so do it in a setting where if you fall, you're not going to hit your head on a corner of a table or something. But you can actually train yourself to be balanced using something as simple as that. It's called an endo board. And so, Rick, if you ever want to give it another try, if you're ever going to Hawaii anytime soon, that's a great way to practice and train if you're interested.
I'll tell you what. There's about 2 years of that happening. Slim enough. Okay, that's the older. Try to practice to try to keep balance, and as you get older, you have to be careful about that. And so, I have to. I constantly try to do that, and on one leg, keep my balance halfway decent and everything. But I'm done. I'm not surfing, and I try to.
I don't blame you.
The windsurfing and stuff. That's not me. I'm like Clint Eastwood, Dirty Harry. A man has to know his limitations. Okay, and I know
that's fair. You share these videos though, Rick. You clearly have an interest in people who master doing really crazy things that takes hours.
Yeah. I mean, my wife had said, "Would you stop watching those reels?" I said, "You know what? That's really intriguing to me to see the amazing things that people do, who I think are out of their mind with some of the stuff that they're doing, to be honest with you, because you can kill yourself with some of the stuff that they're doing if you screw up." I'm saying, how the hell are you trained to get good at that? Because if you mistake, you're dead. I mean, it's insane. It is timing with nothing and just their hands and hanging. I just saw the one with bicycle along the top of a ridge doing something with. I mean, my God, if he had slipped or it's fascinating to me to see the amazing things that people are able to do, and it shows
Yeah.
you how if you are dedicated and committed to doing it, and I say try to do things that you might not kill yourself, but how much better you can get doing something. And it's just a matter of putting the time and the effort forth. So yeah, I absolutely love watching that stuff. So let's get to our calls before we start rambling on about this.
Sure.
Make sure that we can answer the stuff that the people have.
Well, the good news is everything we're rambling about so far. I doubt anyone else is gonna, anyone else has touched on. And before we get to that real fast, you asked the question: how do these people train to do these daredevil type stunts, right? Because a lot of these involve like, being vertically 30, 40, 50 feet in the air with like a dirt bike or, and it's like, how do you fall from a height like that? At
Yeah.
least with BMX, with certain skateboard tricks, with certain motocross tricks, they're doing these. They're practicing these aerials and landing in huge, massive foam pits. But that can't apply for everything. But
Yeah.
at least
Know
for
that
some.
because I know, and I've saw this stuff in Utah when you had the Olympics out there, how they do some of that. And I'm saying, okay, well, that I can understand. That's fine. But some of these stuff these people are doing, the guy who's going and trying to go up in between two walls that are just like this, and he's going to go and push on that, push against it, and go up and climb the wall to go up and get to a certain level where he's going to get onto another ledge or something, and then he doesn't make it. Then it's the third try, and then these guys going up stuff with the motorcycle up, and he gets to the top, and he slipped, and he fell, and he slid all the way back down. I mean, anyway, that's
It's
just me.
insane. It's
But
insane.
what I can't watch though, when I turn something on and I see it's people making these falls and doing something, and they do. I can't watch that because after I had my bad bicycle accident and everything, oh my God, that just hits too close to home, and I cringe. I can't watch it. I just absolutely can't watch it. Knowing when I fractured my pelvis in 6 places and had to spend 3 months in a wheelchair, I can't watch that stuff. I just can't.
Rick, I've never heard you. We've never talked about. We've been doing the show, you and I, for like 5, 6 years now, which is crazy. But you've never brought that up. We've never had a discussion about that either, and maybe for good reason. I don't know if you want to talk about it, but I did see the story. It was in the news. Do you mind sharing real fast, like what happened to you? This was about 10 years ago, correct?
No, it's about 8 years or something. I was
Yeah.
going. I was actually training to go on another bicycle ride with, unfortunately, the late Bill Walton. Uh,
Oh,
Brandon Bill and I had gone on a trip from Sausalito to Sacramento to San Diego for the athletes who were paralyzed or had limbs missing and things of that nature. I mean, it was. I mean, boy, you want to feel like you got it tough. Just go and do this and see the incredible fortitude and commitment that these guys make, and they're doing that whole trip and they're cranking, because their lower body, you can't use their lower body, so they crank on these vehicles that they go on. And then some of them were doing it with one leg and one arm, and so Jesus, just makes you feel inferior. So anyway, he invited to go again, another one with my wife and I, and he and his wife, and so I was training and going on a ride with my wife and another couple I knew in Colorado, going out by Garden of the Gobs, a really beautiful area. And I was going pretty fast down a little incline and to make a right turn, and I was actually clicked in with the shoes. And so when I ran out of the curb, my front tire blew out, and the bike went like that, and I went, sideways, and I couldn't get my right leg out. I couldn't get that foot off that pedal, so I was locked into the bike. So my entire weight and everything went up and came down on my back and side and hip, and I fractured my pelvis in 6 places. And yeah, it was crazy. And they had to fly me up on a helicopter up to a trauma center outside of Denver because there was nobody who could possibly do the operation.
oof. And so
I,
this was on the road. The Garden of the Gods like you said, beautiful place. I don't know if it's a national park. I don't think it is, but it's gorgeous. And I think the mountain that's behind it is what's called Pikes Peak
Pikes
or
Peak is in behind that. Yeah, we're at Pikes Peak we're down. Colorado Springs is at the base of Cheyenne Mountain, and Pikes Peak is there, and so it's the end of the Rocky Mountains before it flattens out going into Kansas.
and
So
that's where you were coming down from that? Is that what when you fell?
by the Garden of the Gods, and I was going downhill, and I was going fairly fast and around the curb, but nothing crazy. But the front tire blew out, and I just know if I could have gotten my leg out, I mean, I know I'm athletic enough to do. I would have gone that way. I would have bailed. My right leg foot would have hit the ground. I would have probably rolled. I would have probably gotten bruised, scraped a little bit, but I certainly wouldn't have fractured my pelvis in 6 places.
Oof. And I know this is maybe a weird question, but what does it feel like to have your pelvis broken in 6 places?
Uh, Not real good. It wasn't really painful, but I knew I'd done something really serious. They had some ice to do that, and when I
Wow.
move and do things, if I moved a little bit, it was certainly painful. The craziest things when I went up there, they said, "Well, we need you to go. You need to go get the leg. We got to take some X-rays." I said, "Are you out of your freaking mind? Lay on my side." I said, I know I got broken bones and something here. I can't lay on my side." And so, yeah, it was an interesting experience. One I don't want to have to ever go through again. But I was so blessed. I have so many rods and pins and screws, amazing things that don't ring at the airports, and tell he was unbelievable. I thank God every day for him, because for me to be able to still do what I can do, play pickleball, golf, still ride some bikes, and I'm very blessed in that regard. But yeah, and now I got a little feel for what it's like to be, not be able to get up and get around, and have to be in 3 months. I did that. I couldn't put any weight up my right leg, which I did for 3 months. Went into rehab and came out of it. But yeah, it was not fun, but I'm blessed that I was able to overcome that and still be able to do what I'm doing today. So yeah, crazy, crazy. Just you be careful. Now I'm really super cautious about stuff. I just don't. I mean, I still probably shouldn't even be riding my bike going downhill fairly fast, because if the tire blew out or something happened and I took a bad fall, I'm liable to be in a wheelchair for the rest of my life.
Oh.
So I have to think about things when I go fishing and stuff. Do stuff and climb and do things now. I make sure I have the guide around, and I don't do anything foolish that possibly cause me to have a bad fall, because that could be disaster.
Yeah,
Anyway,
let's avoid that. And are you ready for the submissions, the audio submissions for the week? Here is a con so rad from Danville. Whoops.
Hey Rick, this is Consorad from Danville, California. Just a couple of quick hitters. Wondering what your thoughts are about the moves that the Warriors have made after letting Clay move to the next phase of his career. And secondly, what are you looking forward to the most for the Olympic basketball tournament? Have a great day. Take care.
well, the first part of it is who knows. Yeah, I think I do like getting Buddy. I mean, I think Buddy could be someone that could fill in for what Clay was doing, because he struggled. He was a great shooter in college, struggled when he first came into pros, but seems to have found his way. Clay is not the Clay that we knew was shooting 40 something percent, usually from 3-point range, the great defender and all. That's not who he is now. And he doesn't have value. Certainly he does. But since he decided to leave to get someone to fill in for his role, Buddy could be a really good one for him. He's younger, and I don't know what's his defense looking like. I haven't really watched him, to be honest with you, that carefully, so I don't know whether he's playing good defense. Individual defense is irrelevant to me. Individual defense is a bonus in the game today. It's team defense that wins. You help one another out. You play team defense. That's what it really is all about. And if you get a guy who is really a great team defender, who also is a good, tough individual defender, that to me is a bonus. That's a bonus. He's going to make a really good player work a little bit harder. Like I say, you're not going to shut down a scorer. You might be able to do that to a shooter with help from your teammates, again, jumping screens and things of that nature. So we'll see. We'll see what he's going to be like in that regard, and then it's a matter of the young people progressing and keep getting better. If they wind up staying with Kuminga, he doesn't go in any trade that they might make. Uh, he's got to elevate his game. I mean, he's gotten better, but he still isn't where he needs to be. I think to really help them in a super positive way. So we'll see. Trace. I mean, I think he's shown some nice potential to do that. I still I still think Markkinen would be a great player, depending what.
Oh, yes.
I think he would fit in so well, because he knows how to play the game the right way, the way that Steve has the team play. I think he would flourish in that. Not to the extent of Kevin Durant, because he's not the same level as Kevin Durant, but he would. I think, become a better basketball player playing the way that Steve has the Warriors playing, which is good.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, Rick, you're a connected person. You're one of the greatest ever play. You're a Hall of Famer. Have you heard any chatter behind the scenes you're hearing about Kuminga, the Warriors, Lowry? First of all, I learned recently, by the way, it's Lowry, not Laurie Markkinen. So I'm trying to update my verbiage to properly pronounce his name. It's Lowry Markkinen. But are you hearing anything about the Warriors?
I don't think it's dead, from what I've heard. I don't think it's totally dead. Um, and I'm not one to. I would never reveal anything to do it. I don't want to put stuff. But when these other guys talk to all these people and they come out with all these things, like they got all these great contacts. Uh, I actually talked with Mike Dunleavy Jr. So, but I'm not going to, I'm not going to discuss anything that I said with him. I mean, that's personal. I mean, he's let me know what it is. I'm hoping it's going to be well, and I'm certainly not going to say anything that I shouldn't say. But all I do know is that they're still figuring out what they're going to do. They seem to
Yeah.
be pleased with what they have, but you can always get better. I mean, that's my thing. You can always get better, and we don't know how much better is Jonathan Kuminga going to be as a
Mhm.
as a player this year. He needs to keep getting better. You can
Mhm.
with what you're doing. I mean, I throw it out all the time. I was the best free throw shooter in the game. Changed, Tiger Woods is the best player in the world and changed his golf swing. Why? He thought he could get better. You should always be striving to get better. And it's kind of surprising to me and a little disappointing because I have offered my insight to the game to a number of players, some pretty good name players. Not one of them has ever taken me up on it. It's really kind of mind boggling to me because I was like listening to every word Jerry West ever said to me when I got to meet him. We played them in exhibitions here. I mean, I'm going to listen to anyone who's had success to try to find out what they're doing, what I might be able to do to improve what I'm doing. And I hear all this talk about how they keep working on their game, but yet, I mean, come on, my God, I mean, hell, I was a pretty damn good player. I mean, I think there's some things I know about the game that might be able to help some of these guys to take them to a whole different level and to not even take me up on it. I mean, it's the same thing with even my free throws. I mean, I had this discussion with somebody else. I said, why in the world do teams not make players have to learn how to shoot underhanded free throws since it's proven to be the most efficient way to do it by physicists? And they're hurting themselves, but they're hurting their team by being inefficient at the free throw line. So anybody that shoots 75% from the free throw line, or especially below 70, should be demanded that they learn and try to do it that way to get better.
Mhm.
I'll give you a great example of the difference in mindset of players. Mike Newland, great player, teammate of mine at the Rockets, great shooter, very bright guy, and a good friend. He came up to me thinking about wanting to learn, asked me to teach him when I went to the Rockets, show me the underhanded free. I said, Mike, you're an 88% free throw shooter. What the hell you want to think about changing for? He said, yeah, but if this can help you to get to 90, I want to do it.
Yeah.
This
Right.
is talking about. I mean, he's an 88% free throw shooter, and he wanted to hear about it and learn about it. I get guys that can't shoot worth a damn that that I could shoot better than them now at my advanced age, and they don't even want to think about trying to learn how to do it. Makes no sense. And why a team when you're paying somebody multi-millions of dollars, that you're going to allow them to be absolutely not just inefficient, but just really bad at one
Mhm.
of the game. That's a critical element of the game. That's the one area of the game you can be selfish and help your team. And if a team shot 80% or more from the free throw line, the number of extra victories they're going to have during the course of the season is going to be substantial. Why in the world would you not demand it? I just don't understand it. How in the world, in the real world, could you tell your boss if he tells you that he wants you to do this when you're working on the job that he's offered to you, his company, and you tell him no? You're out of your job. He's going to fire you.
What made you think of this? Which player were you thinking of in particular with the Warriors that you feel like could
No,
use
the
your services?
greatest that I had heard, but it never happened because they got rid of him, was Bedrins, who shot 19% or something
He
from
was
the.
awful. He was awful.
But I did hear somebody had told me that Don Nelson told him if you want to come back, you're going to have to learn to shoot. Rick Barry's learn how to shoot up free throws under. And that makes sense to me. You should be doing that. I mean, my God. But there's tons of players out there that are just not good free throw shooters that need to learn to get better. And
Yep.
it's not like you're trying to get them to do you hope it works. No, you know it works because it's been proven by physicists to be the most efficient way to shoot them.
Well, and it makes so much sense, Rick. I mean, you're adding touch to the free throw by doing it that way. You're adding a more of a parabolic arc, which is clearly going to increase the odds of it going in. It seems like it's common sense. I don't know. That's just me.
Yeah, it is what it is. But so, we'll see what happens with these guys, what the improvement's going to be. And then it's just a matter of, how well are they going to play together? Are they going to accept the roles that is given to them? And are they going to make a full, total commitment team wise to playing great team defense? That's what it really takes. A total commitment and focus. Your number one priority should be the best, try to be the best defensive team in the league. It's going to keep you in the games when your offense is struggling. You always say offense is going to be like a roller coaster ride. It goes like this. Sometimes it goes, oh yeah, and then sometimes it does that. Okay. But defense can be here. You can be consistent if you put the effort forth and you focus on what you're supposed to do and how you're supposed to play it. So we'll see what happens with that. That's a key element to it, I think. And then
You know? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
go ahead. And then his second part, I talked so long about everything. He had a two-part question, so I was answering the first part about all of the players first, and so that'll be see if I have a senior moment and remember what he was talking about. Second said, so I said, well, I'll jump all over that first.
Oh, I forgot too. I mean, so it's not just. I don't think it's just a senior moment.
Let's see. Yeah, what am I going to do there? So this pull him up again. So let me see what he says at the end again.
Hey, Rick, this is Considerably from Danville, California. Just a couple of quick hitters. Wondering what your thoughts are about the moves that the Warriors have made after letting Clay move to the next phase of his career. And secondly, what are you looking forward to the most?
Forward to in basketball in the Olympics. Well, I have to say it's going to be 3x3 basketball above and over and beyond the pros playing for the USA basketball team on 5-on-5 because my son's playing in the 3x3. So that's going to be my number one priority and focus. However, I will be watching and I will also be rooting for them as well. And I see, Steph, last game that they had when they took care of Serbia with Jokic and stuff, the Joker, Steph, 8 for 13 from the field, and he was 6 for 9 from threes. The 3-point line's a foot closer. I mean, a foot closer for Steph Curry is insane. So, I think he's on a mission. I really do believe first opportunity to do this, represent the country. I can't even imagine how proud he must feel with that USA on his chest and when that national anthem plays. And I'm sure that he wants to be hearing that national anthem and watching the USA flag be raised with a gold medal around his neck. I really do believe that. And it seems as though LeBron is into it as well. I mean, even at 40 years of age, I think he really feels that this is an opportunity to do something very special. And he had a heck of a game. He was 5 for 5, from 2-point range. He didn't make his 3-pointers, but he's not a 3-point shooter, as we all know. But he's still, playing well. The guy that I thought, was doing okay. He didn't look to shoot the ball very much, but he didn't make his threes either. But the first game that I saw is Jason Tatum. I liked what he was doing. It was really
He's an incredible player. Period. Have you heard this? I've heard some chatter that because I think his listed playing height is 6'7", 6'8", but then supposedly from that time, however long ago that was to now, he's grown taller. Like some people are saying he's closer to 6'10", and if that's true, I mean that's talking about the whole package there.
Yeah, he's done a nice job. This again, we talk about the improvement. Remember, we talked about him a couple of years back when the Warriors played him. That both he and Brown had a tendency to force the issue, to try to make things happen. And in the game of basketball, you have to learn to take what the defense gives you. You let the game come to you, and when you see the opportunities, you capitalize on those opportunities and start to try to force things. And they were turnover prone, especially late in games. They turned times, but they've both improved there. Especially Brown improved a lot, and it was interesting to see when they had the replacement for Kawhi that they didn't go for Brown.
I was
Uh,
going to ask you about that. What are your thoughts?
thing is that they finally have learned that it's not always have all star players.
Mhm.
You need to have role players and guys can do the little things and the dirty work. And I think that was a choice that they made. I'm sure that Brand was probably very disappointed in that he didn't get the opportunity, especially since Tatum made the team and he was the MVP of the championship series. But it is what it is.
Well, and White is also on his team. I mean, he and Drew Holiday. There are 3 Celtics on that team. None of them named Jaylen Brown. I'm sure he's not happy at all about this.
Yeah,
But what are you gonna do?
imagine he would be disappointed without question. But but White, nice, steady, good player, and Drew Holiday has played well. His defense was really outstanding, and he knows how to play. He's the role player. White's the role player. They got enough great stars to play. I mean, come on, you got Tatum, you got Embiid, who didn't have a particularly good game, like shooting the ball, only 2 for 8, and they still won handily. And of course Steph, and then Anthony Edwards, who's one of the bright up and coming young stars, in the game, had a pretty darn good game, and they're coming off the bench for them as well. And then
Anthony Davis is playing good ball too.
another really great steady player who doesn't care about necessarily who plays and does the game the right way is Halliburton, and he didn't do all that much in the last game, playing 14 minutes. But when these guys can step up, yeah, I know the guy that's been impressive to me most of anything defensively, it's been Anthony Davis. My God, he's been such a rim protector. I think when he had blocks in one game, I mean, I think he's really turned on to wanting to do some stuff there. He only took 2 shots in 16 minutes.
Incredible. He's been playing great ball. Rick, there was a practice clip I saw a week or 2 ago, and I always love these when these things are aired because you don't always get to see what's happening in these practices and behind the scenes. But Stephen Curry was vocal in this practice on the defensive side, kept yelling string, 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 right? And you always talk about team defense. I was wondering if you could kind of elaborate on what Steph means when he keeps yelling that string word out to his teammates.
I don't know what string means. I'm not at practice, so I don't know what he's talking about. I don't know what that is that they're
Well,
saying.
I think it's a reference to, and we've heard this before in terms of the Warriors' team philosophy defensively is to play on a string, right? Where basically you constantly having. Go
But
ahead.
it is connected to everybody is what it is.
Exactly.
So if you're playing defense the correct way, you should always have ball relations. You never should lose sight of the basketball when you're playing defense, number one. And then it's the same thing. If the ball moves, you should be moving. If your man moves, you should always be able to see what's going on. And so it's like everybody's put together and they're on a string and stuff. And so if this thing moves here, this is moving here and that's moving over here. I mean, that's what it is. You're all interconnected, basically, what he's talking about. And so I guess that's a short way of saying string. Remember our philosophy about how we're supposed to be moving and reacting. And never, ever should a player be able to be 30 feet from the basket, dribbling the ball and get to the basket and get a freaking dunk. Somebody needs to stop the ball. The ball is the primary objective, to prevent the ball from going in the basket, and you never want to let that ball get all the way to the rim. Those are simple, basic fundamentals of basketball. It's not a complicated game. There's only 5 guys on the court at the same time, but that's the philosophy that you have when you're playing. And then, of course, the other thing is the simple little things, is that you need to screen your man off the boards. And so many times guys turn their head and a guy comes in and gets an incredible dunk. That's a huge mistake defensively. Your responsibility, screen your guy off the boards. I used to say that for my son Canyon when he played 5x5, and he's doing it. And he's screening this guy off, and he didn't get a lot of rebounds. Yeah, but his guy's never getting a freaking rebound because he's. Look, sometimes if you're like 20 feet to the basket and the shot goes up and you see him there, use your athleticism. Go in and go get some rebounds and stuff. Don't just worry about screening him off if he's not really a factor, okay? But he was really good about doing that. And if every player did that, you would not get a lot of offensive rebounds and putbacks for teams, because it's a breakdown defensively when that happens. So that's what it is. So 3x3s be it's going to be so chaotic because they let so much physical contact go on in that game, and it happens so quickly, and you just never know. I've seen my son's team lose games because somebody threw up a shot. It's only a 12-second shot clock, and as soon as you miss or you make a shot, it starts automatically as soon as the other team gets possession. So it's moving quick. You got to pass, move, cut. Throwing up a prayer, backing it off the board, the game, a 2-point shot, because it's 1 for a basket, 2 for the 3-pointer in the NBA. So I've seen crazy things happen. They've won with crazy, not as often as I've seen them lose and be on the short side of it. So That's going to be very interesting to see. But they have every bit as good a chance as any team in there, and it's going to be competitive. They got a lot of very good teams. Most of the 3x3 teams that are around the FIBA in the world, around the world, have like 4 guys that are 6'6", 6'7", 7'6". I mean, they're all big, same guys. We have some shorter guys. I mean, Jimmer Fredette is a little shorter, and Dylan Travis, he's not, as tall. He's just 6'4", 6'3", too. And the other guys are a little bit taller. And then Kareem Maddox is about 6'8", and Canyon's 6'6". So they don't have a really big team, but they play really well together, and they play good, sound, fundamental basketball. I really, I love watching the way that they play the game. So that's going to be fun for me. And then to see how the USA deals with things. Like, even in the game, had a pretty easy win. The bench, they had 2 guys came off the bench, played really well, exceptionally well. Well, 3 actually. Davis did too. He didn't shoot the ball. He's 2 for 2 only, but he had 6 blocks. I mean, that's a big factor. I mean, you
That
could
is. That
like that.
is.
And Edwards played terrific on the bench as well. And then the other guy was Bam Adebayo, who had a really outstanding game. In fact, Bam had 3 for 5. 3. It's not something that you would think you're going to get from Bam. I mean, that's just not necessarily his game. But he had a heck of a 9. And so that's the thing. They have so much depth on the team.
Mm-hmm.
Be interesting to see who he decides to go with. Steve, I'm talking about as far as the starters, but nobody played any. The most minutes played was Steph played 21 minutes only 21 minutes in the game, and they won so handily.
Yeah.
This is an incredibly talented basketball team. It really.
Who would you start?
Well, it would depend upon what they're doing at practice. I
Well,
mean,
just on the face of things, based on what you know, like who would you go with for your 5?
well, I tell you, right now, Steph has got to play. I mean,
I agree. Yes.
and LeBron's got to play. I mean, so they're 2 of the greatest players in the history of the game, without question. And then it just comes down to, so what are you going to do? Are you going to go with Anthony Davis or Joel Embiid? Anthony Davis, to me, is more like a 4 than a
Mm-hmm.
5. So Embiid is a pretty good choice to do that. And then you've got the backup with Bam for both of those guys. So those 3 guys, I mean, can handle the big positions. And then it's a matter of, who you're going to put in as far as substitutes. Right now, if you can bring a young guy like Anthony Edwards into the bench, I think that's great, because he plays an amazing amount of energy. Kind of a little bit, and he has a tendency a little uh, like Westbrook did early in his career, to try to force things a little bit, do a little bit too much. But you want to talk about a guy that played really hard. I mean, Westbrook was unbelievable, but he reminds me, as far as his athleticism and his enthusiasm and his exuberant way after. So those are some pretty good people. I mean, then of course you still got a Devin Booker that you can go to. I mean, my God, I mean, that's pretty unbelievable. And then they have some other people on the team that people are probably wondering, well, what the hell's going on? And Kevin Durant hasn't even played.
He hasn't played. You're right. He hasn't. He has a calf injury, and yeah. So Steph, Anthony Edwards, LeBron,
I would say,
Anthony.
oh, I would go with the size. I would go with Jason Tatum. I like Tatum. The way he's been playing and doing
Same.
stuff. A lot more size, So his starting lineup was pretty darn good. I like that, because Drew Holiday will play the team game. He'll play the tough defense on an opposing guy. They're not as big, maybe size wise, but you've got 3 big guys behind you. I mean, so that's, and again, it's the team defense that matters. But I did like that starting lineup, and
Yeah.
in fact, in the second quarter, they just absolutely annihilated Serbia. Uh, and just played. I mean, just crushed them. So yeah, that's a pretty good starting lineup, as long as if Davis is willing to do his role and come off the bench and to play the way that he played, and Edwards accept that as well. But I just don't know how you not have Steph in the game. I mean, he's just such a special player, and when you've got a short 3-point line, I mean, how do you not have one of the greatest shooters in the history of the game not in your starting lineup? Seriously.
Yeah, I agree. I think Steph and LeBron. That's your if 2 of the 5 to me are locked up. Like I don't know how you don't start those 2. And it's watching them play together. There is just an immediate chemistry. I don't know if you've seen
Well,
that as well.
well, when he gets healthy, if he gets back and gets healthy and back to his normal game, it's pretty hard not to have KD on that team either.
That too. That too. Yeah, it's a good call.
I mean, Kevin Durant is a special player. I mean, come on. And he and Steph have played together. I mean, it was really interesting to hear when Davis was talking about after they had been scrimmaging and doing stuff and playing with Steph. Oh my God, I got so many easy shots. I mean, he was
Yeah.
exuberant. I mean, he was so excited about it. And he seems to be playing, has a mission to play and focusing on the defense because he knows he's got guys to do the other stuff and he's doing the dirty work. I really respect that.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. It is funny watching Anthony Davis when he made those comments because he looked like a kid in a toy store, just with the way he described being with. It was awesome. They hear Danny in the chat. I'm curious to get your reaction to this because Danny, who's up next, is talking about a TV show that I want to watch, and it's about the NBA.
Hey, Rick, I just watched a TV series called Clipped on Hulu, the story about Donald Sterling and his racist comments in 2014. Did you personally know Donald? And if so, what did you think of him?
Well, I did. I know I've talked with him and met him on a number of occasions. He never said anything that would lead me to believe that he was a racist person. In the times that I was around him, very demeaning to people, and he paid a dear price for that. However, it wasn't a dear price that a lot of people would like to pay to get $2 billion for your team.
Yeah.
He was forced to sell, and it changed the whole world of basketball because he got paid. Bomber paid him $2 billion. Not a billion would have been unbelievable, but he paid him $2 billion.
Yeah.
And then the Warriors. Now the Warriors are valued at over $5 billion. So it really, this little things sometimes change life and change the road that you travel down. And this was one of them to change the value of NBA franchise, which back when I was playing, the NBA franchises were worth a whole hell of a lot. A friend of mine wanted to buy the Warriors for 18 million.
Oh my God. Oh, the good
18.
old days.
So yeah, it's changed quite a bit. But Sterling, he had to give up the team, but it wasn't like he had to do a big sacrifice. He got $2 billion. I mean, my God. And I don't think there is any room for that. And I've heard somebody else had made some comments and with regard, in fact, actually, it'll come out in the documentary that I saw. This you should watch this one coming up. The ABA has a 3-part documentary. I got to see the preview of it, and I thought it was well done. And
What's
I
it called? You know?
and the story of the ABA is really good. Carl was and Dr. J were executive producers on this, and they did a very nice job on it. And so I think you would enjoy it. There's a lot of things that came out in there. Here's the one that I probably said I'd have a lot of people hate me if I did this, but I've always thought over the years and being on the board of retired players for so many terms and talking to guys and getting to hear their stories and learn a little about their careers and asking about what happened in their life with basketball. You hear all these great stories about John Wooden, how Bill Walton, just praised him so much about what a wonderful guy he was. And you hear all these wonderful stories about him and you hear all these stories about other coaches. There's a whole lot of stories that are horror stories and how people's lives screwed up their careers. I mean, there's a lot of that out there as well. And it would be kind of interesting to hear some of the other stories because there's always two sides to every story. And yeah, and for every silver lining, there's a dark cloud, or a silver cloud, there's a dark lining, however you want to say it. Uh, but some of the stories I heard from some of these guys, it's horrific. I mean, even in I came so close to quitting basketball in high school because of my coach. I mean, I'm talking about seriously close to doing it. My father and my brother had to work really hard to convince me not to quit because I was a better baseball player. And so, and then I had the same situation with a coach in baseball. They kind of screwed me up with baseball and turned me off to that. And I focused more on basketball. And then I had to wind up dealing with this crazy coach that I had. And so, yeah, but you have to overcome some things in life. And a lot of these guys did a good job to do that. But there's a lot of stories out there like that would probably be very intriguing for people to realize that it's not every coach out there isn't a great guy. That's all.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I've had some horrible coaches that drove me insane, but yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, you're right. But I'm trying to find the name of this ABA documentary. Like I see one. It's called The Rise and Fall of American Basketball Association. There's
It hasn't come out yet.
okay. Well, there you go. That's why I can't
What
find
did
it. Okay.
search do? Just type in there. What's the new ABA documentary that's going to be coming out?
That's what I type. Well, yeah. Okay. Let me. Yeah. I put that in there, and
George Carl and Dr. J, executive producers of ABA documentary.
um. Well, yeah. I see one that's called The Rise and Fall of American Basketball Association. Um. Regardless, I love basketball history. I love history. Period. So I'm looking forward to seeing this.
Yeah.
And you came out looking good in this.
Well, yeah, that's what the hell. Yeah, it was fine. I mean, I didn't worry. I don't think that they made. I don't think they made as big a deal as they should have about me changing the reserve clause in basketball. That's a huge thing in our sport. I mean, they made such a big thing of Kurt Flood doing baseball, but that was after I had done it in basketball.
Right.
And then they're talking about the fact that Spencer Haywood with the ruling of that, and the hardship things and whatever. But the bottom line is, even with that, the hardship thing, if it weren't for the fact that you had the reserve clause gotten rid of and made it into an option clause, I mean, guys wouldn't have been able to move and go to other teams. I mean, it changed everything. And I mentioned something to George after. I said, George, a great job and all. I said, but I think you guys, it was really a very important thing in the history of the sport as to changing that. I know the NBA was furious at the Warriors for taking that position. It was a major factor in guys being able to really start to get paid some serious dollars and have the change. Because a reserve clause is a clause, but if you sign your contract, the first contract I signed, if I didn't come to an agreement the next year, and it wasn't a guaranteed contract either, okay? If I did not come to an agreement with them for the next year to get another contract to sign, I was obligated to play for the team at 90% of what I made the year before, the first year, obligated to play.
Mm-hmm.
And that would be the case ongoing. So basically, you sign that first contract, they own you. So that changed everything. It really did.
And you're saying you wish this would have been featured a little more in the documentary? It wasn't highlighted enough?
I think that they needed to explain how important it was to the evolution of the game and what it did for the ABA and for the players. Then Spencer coming along for what he did for then to be able to have the opportunity to come out of school early, because when I came out in the day, they had a rule that it was 4 years after your high school graduation, you would be eligible for the draft for the NBA. 4 years after your high school graduation. Now, they've come to an agreement. I think it's like 19 years of age now. They came to some other agreement. But the thing is, in the collective bargaining agreement, you can agree to those things if both sides agree to it.
Right.
Yeah, and so that's kind of what happened after that took place. Then they came to the agreement because the NBA realized this is crazy, and so many players just ruined their lives because they missed out on their college education. They really weren't good enough to be able to make it to the NBA, and now they don't have a scholarship. They don't get their opportunity to get an education, and probably more guys who came out early didn't make it than made it. Yeah.
Here's a fellow mic'd up host.
Rick, this is John Rager from Hall of Fame Conversations. Everywhere I look now, it's pickleball, pickleball, pickleball. We just had a charity golf tournament, and the Bumbu rum is the official rum of the Association of Pickleball Players. Went to a Chamber of Commerce meeting. They were talking about business networking through pickleball. And then we also discovered there's a Pickleball Hall of Fame out there. So we're going to put you on the committee. Will you help us nominate a pickleball player for future entry into the Florida Sports Hall of Fame?
Yeah, pretty cool. Yeah, that's interesting. That it's growing so much. 2 years ago or 3 years ago, they said that by 2030 there would be 30 million people playing.
Woo, that's a lot.
Yeah, but no, 2030 they said. It's 2024. It's almost 50 million people playing now. No, I'm serious. It's so incredible what's taking place in this sport. In fact, the Warriors, I just did it and had
Yeah.
fun. Warriors had
Hey,
a good and
tell
thrives.
us about that, please. Sam Gordon of the Chronicle wrote a great piece about it too. Yeah, you were here recently.
Yeah, I was there and they had a nice event there and it was well attended by people on Thursday and on Friday and then Saturday and the different levels and yeah, so it was cool. I mean, even the Warriors are getting involved in doing something with pickleball, which I was certainly happy to see. Anytime you can be a part of that, and they had some media people play, and actually the two guys that won the media event were actually pretty decent players, and wound up I played against them in a 2 out of 3 match. They beat us in the first match, myself and my partner that we played with, and we had some good competitive pickleball. It was a lot of fun, and it was nice to see a lot of the people involved. Sean Bennett, who's the guy responsible for so many of the things that happened in Thrive City, did a great job of VP of all of that stuff. And Christina and a lot of the other gals and Ava and all the other Warriors people were terrific. It's always nice to get back there and see so many people. And Jeff Knepp, who runs the big, charge of the big souvenir store. I mean, the last time I was there, I could not believe how many people were in there buying merchandise, and it was unbelievable. I mean,
Every time that place is packed, it's
they,
crazy.
they have some cool stuff, and it was. I met just the new head of president of the Valkyries. They're going to have the WNBA team
Mhm.
coming up. They're going to have their draft and everything coming up. She's busy deciding what they're going to do and who they're going to draft, and they're still, I think, in negotiations with trying to find a coach for the team. But it's great that they're going to get that back. And years ago they had that. They had a women's team many decades ago, and now they're going to have another one. So that'll be fun. So I wish her all the best with it's a cool name, the Valkyries. I mean,
It is. It is. I agree.
they
It's a
were
very cool name.
female warriors.
Exactly. Yeah. By the way, I don't mean to shift gears so suddenly like this. Not a smooth transition, but I'm just reading now. I don't know if you heard that Bob Newhart passed away. That's sad, and I don't know if you're a fan of his or not, but
Bob Newhart did good. I enjoyed his comedy without question. But who else passed away is someone that's been a part of the NBA was Pat Williams, who was the.
yeah, yes, yeah, that was sad too.
I just learned about that as well. I mean, I'm just tired of all these news I get about so many people passing away that were friends of mine that I was.
Yeah.
So, but that's life. That's how it goes. And Pat was Pat was great. I mean, he did wonders with the Magic down there in Orlando, and I got to know him, and he was a very interesting guy. He adopted so many different children from all
He
over.
did. He did. I remember that. And again, he was the GM or some. I don't know what his title was, but Shaquille O'Neal's when he was the #1 pick, and then Penny Hardaway a year later. I remember him being the face of the Magic, celebrating that good news for them all those years ago.
Yeah, he did a great job there. So my condolences and prayers go out to his family as well. So that's all part of it. So let's get our next
Yeah.
call.
Here's Dan Riley.
Hey, Rick, this is Dan. Just a quick one. Pickleball's everywhere, and I see that you like it too. I play, and it's so much fun. Just wanted to know what drew you to it, and what do you like about it? So you're playing pickleball, ex-pro basketball player, Hall of Famer, golf. I'm assuming you play tennis. So just wanted to know what you like about it. That's it. Take care.
Well, here's the thing: is that the thing I missed most was being able to compete. I love to compete. I really do love to compete, and it doesn't matter what it is, whether it's a board game I'm playing, or
How do you handle losing? By the way, let's say a board game. What are you okay with losing, or do you get pissed off?
I never like losing, but I can accept it. I can accept it. In fact, I actually respect so. Like I had a guy beat me in the world long driving championship. This guy, he was Steve. He was taking the last swing of the competition. I was gonna. It looked like I was gonna win. It was before they did it on artificial turf, and I had a drive, but my ball, because it rained a lot, my ball hit and plugged. So he's down to last swing in the division that we're playing in the old farts division. I wasn't quite that old at that time, but I was still old. And Frank Goff, who owned Crank Golf Company, which dominated world long driving stuff. I mean, it's an amazing club. And Lance Reeder. So he said, Rick, I was watching your ball hit and plug. He was watching with binoculars. He said he hit his shot. His shot hit short of mine and hit a harder spot and rolled past me by about a foot. And so that was disappointing to say the least. But I went up to him and I said, Steve, you know, you should be really proud of yourself to know that you had your last swing and to take a good enough swing to hit the ball that far. It was great. You know, so congratulations to you. I mean, I wasn't real thrilled about losing, but I thought he did a great job and I complimented it on him. So I don't have any problem. I have no problem losing to people if I play my best. If you can beat me playing my best, I have great respect for you. But if I don't play my best and I lose, I'm really kind of ticked off at myself. And that's the thing I like about going into singles in pickleball, which I just did this year for the first time to try it and worked well for me. It's because I don't have to rely and worry about my partner. Now, I'm enough to win the Triple Crown because Fred Shuey, my partner in San Diego, we played together a lot and we won, and Fred played terrifically. And then Sue Matthews from Naples, Florida, who friends of mine found her for me because I had to find an 80-year-old woman who could play at a high level. And she was terrific as well, because you can't win without your partner playing well. And so that's the difference, is that individual sports make it so much easier, at least for me, because I can be hard on myself. I know the psychologist, oh, no, don't be hard on yourself. Well, bullshit. I'm going to be hard. If I could kick myself in the ass, I would. Okay. With knee surgery like that, I can't get my foot and my leg up there. But, but I smack myself in the head a couple of times, or smack myself on the butt with my paddle and say, what the hell are you thinking? But that's the beauty of it, is that you control your own destiny when you play a sport and you compete, and it's an individual sport. And so that's why I love pickleball, because you can also get a great workout and it doesn't beat your body up anywhere near as much as tennis does with the amount of the area you have to cover, especially in singles. And that's what I really enjoy about it. But you still have to take care of yourself. You still have to work out. You still need to stretch. You still need to be careful. I try to do compression bands because you're a lot of stretch. You don't want to get pickleball elbow, as opposed like tennis elbow or golf elbow. That can be very debilitating. And so you still have to take care of yourself. But it's fun. And there is the social element to it. Not when I'm on the court, okay? When I'm on the court, I'm out to win, okay? I'm not out. I'm now do that if I go to a function and we're doing something and schmoozing with people or whatever. But if I'm playing in a tournament, I'm not playing in the tournament to be social. I'm playing in the tournament to win, okay? Afterwards, be social. We can sit, we can talk, whatever, have a good time. And that's the beauty of it. People have time being able to do that. And that's the reason why it's so popular, is that it's not that difficult to learn how to play. You don't have to be a great athlete to play pickleball.
It's true. That is true. Here is ASD Films.
One of the coolest things in sports to me is when a father and then his son is able to play the sport, and especially at like a high level. So my question for you is, how rare is that for, a son to be able to play just as well as their father, if not better? Are they born with it? Is it that they, have pretty much, an amazing player at home that they can learn from? Or is it just a combination of everything? Like, what makes a player able to?
Well, I would say it's a combination of things. Like you said at the end, there's going to be some genes that are passed down. And if some children get them, some children don't get them. That's the thing that's just been, it's almost miraculous, I think, what happened. I mean, for me to have 5 boys and all 5 have the gene, I mean, they all had the gene of a feel for the game, which you can't teach. You either have it or you don't. And all 5 of my boys had that. And all 5 have gotten Division I college scholarships, and all 5 fortunate of being able to play on the professional level. So it's pretty incredible and very special. I get so much joy out of having watched my boys play. I wish they had the technology they have today, because I've watched Canyon over the last years with streaming now. I mean, I was watching him play in Mongolia. I was watching him play all over the world. On a big screen television, watching my son play. And if I wanted to get up, at 2 a.m. when it's actually on live someplace else, I mean, no, but unfortunately I can record it. I can watch it later. But man, I mean, I can't even express what joy that brings me. So I'm so looking forward to seeing what happens with the Olympics, and who knows if he's going to continue to do anything at all. But I'll probably be more sad when Canyon decides to hang up his, the basketball shoes and not play anymore, because I get so much joy out of watching him play, and it's a special, special reward, I guess, that God gives you to be able to have that to enjoy. And but then it's also up to the child. I mean, it's no guarantee that you're the child of a great athlete. I mean, this happens in so many other areas, walks of life, music, musicians, singers, whatever. Some of them follow. Very few of them get to be better than their parents. Occasionally it does happen. Kobe Bryant, one that pops into mind. His dad was a nice player, but Kobe was a far superior player.
And speaking of someone who passed away as well, right? Bean passed away just a couple days ago, right?
That
Kobe Bryant's father just passed away as well. Speaking of people who,
Kobe's dad just passed away, Jelly. Yeah, somebody just told me about that. That was very sad as well.
yeah,
Thing, Bill Walton, he had a bunch of boys that played, but none of them were as good as Bill. I mean, and that's fine. They just have to be who they are. They shouldn't even try to be who their father is. Just be who you are. Be the best that you can possibly be. Put the time and the effort into it, and enjoy it as much as you possibly can. And I think for most part, my boys have been able to do that. They've been very fortunate and blessed, and hopefully they appreciate it as much as I appreciate what's happened for them. But again, there's no guarantees. They have to still be willing to put the time and the effort into it, because it's not like all of a sudden you're born to do all of these things really well. You have to put the time and the effort in to perfect them, just like crazy things that people do. I mean, they weren't born with the ability to do those crazy things. They had to train, and they had to learn, and they had to study, and they had to put the time and the effort forth. And so that's what you need to do. That's what I tell young people: find something you love and have a passion for, and learn as much about it as you can, and then you'll be one of the fortunate people who get in the morning and says, man, I get to go do what I love to do, and somebody's going to be paying me for that. That's pretty darn good, as opposed to getting up in the morning and say, I got to go to work today.
that's what everyone's trying to avoid, right? But Rick, is it weird to you as well? And I think you and Bill Walton both share this attribute. None of your sons reached your height. I don't know if that's bizarre or not, but it's like you were the tallest, right? You still got to tower over your boys.
About one, I was 6'7.5" at my tallest in bare feet, and I think Brent was like 6'6.5", although he had longer arms than I had, which is a critical element. And then John was
yeah, okay,
in 6'6". The only one that got shortchanged then, about 6'5.5" or 6. This was my oldest boy, my first son, Scooter, who was only 6'3".
Only.
So why couldn't you give me a few? I said, son, if I could do it, I'd be more than happy to give you a few inches. So,
and tell Scooter, I know that was a long time ago, I'm sure, but if he ever feels any negative, emotions about being only 6'3", tell him I'm 5'10", and I'll trade him in 2 seconds. So I'll take a 6'3" all day, every day. It's a great height. It's a great height.
But we've been certainly blessed with regard to what's happened to my family, and I thank God every night.
You know what's incredible, Rick, is that that they haven't made a documentary about you and your 5 sons. I feel like that would be interesting. No one comes close to what you've accomplished in terms of your progeny, right? No one.
No, there's nothing in any sport that's close to it. But someone's actually in the process now of starting to do a documentary. Hopefully, I'll live long enough for it to be able to get seen. I've had to wait 50 years to get the Warrior 75 championship, but that's coming also at the beginning of next year, hopefully. So, yeah, everything in life has its place and time, and you can't worry about that, because you can't. I never worry about things I can't control. I just energy, such a waste of emotion. I mean, I feel badly for people who don't have the ability to be able to compartmentalize things and take things that make you feel sad and whatever, and put them on the back burner and not think about them, because it's doing you. It's so self-destructive.
Yep.
Nothing positive about it at all, especially when you've lost a loved one. I mean, the last thing in the world that loved one in your life would be to see you like you are now, doing this to yourself. You have control over it, and you shouldn't. They would be horrified. They would be so sad to see you like that.
Mm-hmm.
Pounding a problem that's already a problem. Okay, so cry about the loss, get over it, and move on, because you'll make the person that you love so much, because hopefully they're up there and they can see what's going on. You'd be so much happier to know that you're going on with your life in a positive vein, instead of doing what you're doing to yourself by self-destructing.
Yeah, absolutely. Dude, by the way, going back to the family thing, do you have any grandchildren who are
I have
on the
9
path?
grandchildren. A few of John's boys played basketball. Uh, you know, actually, I think one of them was a walk on at Santa Clara.
Oh, okay.
It was, and they did play a little bit and all, but nobody went on to actually get a scholarship to college or anything for sports. None of them have happened. My son Scooter's got a daughter who'll be graduating from college next year, Lauren, who's a beautiful young lady and really smart and hopefully I think she's going to try to get a job in sports as well. So maybe there'll be a job maybe she can work for the Warriors or something since she's in the Bay Area. But then his other son, nothing happened there, and he's got another beautiful little. I have another granddaughter who's like 15 months old at Brooklyn, who his beautiful wife Ruby brought into this world, and she's adorable. I have a great video of it's so cool. I got my first kiss from her the time
Oh.
before, so I just if I feel that I just open it up and I just take a look at that and I feel pretty good. It's pretty nice. Yeah, nobody has really done much of anything as far as other outstanding athletes for my grandchildren. At least not so far. Who knows? Brooklyn. Maybe Brooklyn's going to be the one that's going to get it done. I don't know. We'll see. She has an affinity for a ball. Got a ball. The box. She got the ball, and I sent the ball for her. She picked the ball up and threw it into the box. So maybe we got a shooter. I don't know.
There you go. There you go. That's a start. And again, some of your grandchildren are so young; it's to be determined, right? I mean, it's
You got it. You know at a fairly early age. I mean, as to what they're going to do and what they can't do athletically. I mean, I know since it's the most recent one was Canyon. Canyon was fourth grade when he was playing the first basketball game. My wife and I both saw the game that he played. Saw that he had a natural feel for the game. So you either have it or you don't, and you can learn at a fairly early age whether or not they've got something special when it comes to athleticism and things of that nature.
crazy. Well, we got two more. We got two more folks who have left voice memos, recordings.
Hey, Rick. This is Tim from Danville. I'm not sure if my prior question got through. Andre Iguodala was a big part of the Warriors when they were winning their championships. Is there another Andre Iguodala out there available, or somebody they already have that could serve that kind of role? And if so, what would it take to get that person? Thanks, Rick.
Well, they actually had two. David Lee. I mean, Lee was another guy. I mean, they had two really veteran players. We had that in our championship team when we won in '75. Jeff Mullins, and we picked up at the end of the season. We picked up who the heck was it? Bill Bridges to play against the Chicago Bulls. And so, yeah, it's important to have those kinds of players willing to do that because of the experience that they have. And the bench is always a very vital part. In fact, actually, when some of the guys left, remember after the championships, one of the big discussions we had, Cyrus, what's the bench going to do? Because you really need the bench has got to be able to come in at least not come in and let another team run away with the game. At least come in there and hold it. Maybe a couple points difference. Sometimes they can come in and actually get you a lead and fight and get you back in the game. A lot of times that happens. What always bothers me when I see that happen, and when I coached in the minor leagues, if my team did that, where the bench came in and they did a great job and got us back into the game, I started them in the third quarter. They should be rewarded.
Mm-hmm. I like that.
Guys, you need to be ready to do what they did for you in the first half. If they're not playing well, you need to come in and pick things up just like they did when you weren't playing well in the first half. That's what a team is about. You need to be prepared to do that. And I think those players need to be rewarded because then they're going to keep playing hard. They're going to work hard, knowing that they will be rewarded when they do the things they're asked to do. So that's kind of cool. I mean, that's special when that happens.
Agreed. And last but not least, here is, I believe, Webby.
Hi, Rick. Hi, Cyrus. There are some very good players in the Big Three right now. I've seen a few games and I'm pretty impressed. With that in mind, do you see the NBA expanding anytime soon? There are some major markets that could really support a new team, and I think the NBA would be wise to move on that. What do you think?
They were not number of years ago, they felt that they had expanded pretty far. What they've done, as opposed to expand, is they've increased the roster from, well, it's crazy. I would have been playing ball for 3 more years after. They moved the roster. They changed the roster from 12 to 11.
That's
And
ridiculous.
my last year, I would have played with the Boston Celtics. I was going to the Celtics until they cut the rosters to 11 to money. Now they have 15 guys on the roster and 2 other guys that are two-way guys. They're G
Three
League.
now. 3 2-ways.
So they got 18 guys now. So that's how the world changes. Now, is that to develop those players? I don't think so. So there are obviously enough guys that are out there that got the opportunity to play, could very well turn into outstanding players. I mean, 18 players. Basketball team, you only play 5 guys, and most teams in the playoffs don't go deeper than 8. We were unusual back in the day when we went 10 deep. And so you have a lot of guys who had the potential. To be honest with you, I think what the NBA, and I know they'll never do this, but I would buy the Big 3 league. It's perfect for what the NBA could do, because they would be able to stock their teams with other players. They already have 17, 18 guys. So you can take 5 of those guys and have them play, and even rotate some in and out, and have them play on your Big 3 team in the summertime to give them more experience, to get them a chance to play together. You can run a lot of stuff, which playing 3-on-3 basketball really helps you to understand how to play the right way, especially the way Steve plays. My God, it would just fit right into what he does for the main team when they came back and become better players. And then the fans would have something to relate to. And and if there's another guy who played for your team who's a little older and you want to have him on there, fine. But I just think from a standpoint, you already have all these people you're paying salaries to for a yearly salary. They don't do all that much in the summertime. Well, hell, now they go and they have the Big 3, as part of the deal. I mean, it's just everything kind of falls together. They'll never do it, because right now I think the Big 3 has sold 4 franchises, 4 teams. Detroit, Houston, Miami, and Los Angeles have bought in, and they're going to have the teams representing cities. And they got a lot of other people that they'll be making more and more announcements, I think, in the coming months to have that be the case. So, yeah, again, I just look at it from a marketing standpoint. It just makes so much sense, because there's no way that 18 guys are getting enough to be able to develop. They're sitting on the, and what's really a little bit is a lot of those guys sitting on the bench are making twice as much money as I made in my best year ever. They never play. I mean, they're so freaking lucky. I don't begrudge them. I'm happy for them. It's great that's taking place. But my God, the money that they're spending doing that, why not do that and have the league? And you can draw, you can make some more money. It becomes the team becomes even more valuable. So from a business standpoint, it just seems like a no-brainer that they could have done that. But as I say, it will not happen. It's just,
Well, and this topic really frustrates me, because you look at the NBA landscape right now, and you look at the popularity of basketball globally. It's sky high, it's through the roof, and you look at the Western Conference right now, for example, right? Of the 15 teams, 13 are going to be playoff contenders next year. I've never seen one conference have that many teams who are playoff worthy. The only 2 teams who you can safely say probably won't make any noise next year is Utah and Portland. Everyone else has some sort of shot. Basketball is deep. Basketball is popular. If there's ever a time to expand, not just 2 teams, I say 4 or 6, it would be now. And Seattle and Vegas are the 2 obvious cities, but we're not seeing this expansion because in the NBA, you have these small market teams who are not thriving, right? And I'm pointing the finger at the Indianas and the Torontos, although Toronto's probably doing fine, but it's like the Clevelands. They hijack the rest of the NBA in terms of its growth, in terms of equity. What I mean by that is, for example, the premise of taking away luxury tax penalties for teams who draft successfully. Like, that idea will never pass, because small market teams are getting all this revenue from the big market teams when it's all split up. So they're still making money, even though their local markets aren't pulling in a dime. But because the local markets are not doing so good, they keep hijacking the idea of spreading the league into more cities even. because it's going to hurt these 8 to 10 small market teams, regardless of how much it's going to benefit the sport in general. You're like you said, 18 players on a team. Instead of 30 NBA teams, we could easily have 36. But these small market teams seem to have this ridiculous amount of power and control, and they continually inhibit the growth of the NBA. And it really just pisses me off that these 8 to 10 small market teams have this much power and control. It sucks, and it's just I don't know, it drives me crazy.
Well, the thing about it is that these teams, it's not about so much of making the money and doing it. It's just the idea that they finally got what they've been striving for so long. Is they've gotten to the point where these teams have developed, and they, like you said, 13 teams can be competitive. I mean, to have the point where you don't know who's going to win, whereas you always knew before who the heck it was. It was always two West, 2 teams in the East, and everybody else maybe. And now, gotten to the point where you don't know. And that's good for it. It becomes very competitive. Even the smaller market teams get excited about the opportunity, but the team really has a chance to maybe do something, get into the playoffs, and be able to be successful. So I think they're happy with that. They certainly have a lot of players that they're paying money to who, God knows, you'd like to have that job. I mean, I'd be the 8 10 on the team and be making $1 million.
Incredible. Yeah.
Making $1 million, and you don't even play. You'll travel and you get your per diem, and you get all this money and all the benefits and stuff, and you don't get to play. So it's got to be difficult for some of these guys coming from college for them to be a star player on their team or whatever it is, and now all of a sudden you've got to just be a bench warmer and hope somehow, some way, something's going to happen. You get an opportunity. It's an interesting conundrum, but I think they're very happy with having the situation be such that they don't know who's going to win now anymore. They really don't.
They like parity, is what you're saying. Yeah, I agree. I think they
love that. Football loves it when they get to the point where they just like it now because the way it's structured. And if you were to go to an expansion teams, you'd have some more teams that would be, at the bottom, fighting their way back in, not all that good, and fans don't know, they don't have a real chance to get to the playoffs, and you just bring more money in. Well, they're already doing well and making a ton of money anyway. So I don't think they want to ruin what they've worked so hard to get to this point where they have relative parity. I mean, when you have 13 of the 15 teams in a conference that have a realistic shot at doing something in the playoffs, pretty impressive.
Mm-hmm. It is, yeah. It absolutely is. But I Seattle needs a team so bad. I still feel for that market to have their franchise robbed by OKC. Yeah. So, but it's looking like there's going to be at least 2 more expansion teams coming soon. So
I don't know when that's going to happen. They certainly have the players to do it.
Easily. Yeah, absolutely right.
Now a team could protect. They probably let you protect at least 10 people, I would imagine. So you got 10, you're protected. You got 8 more to these different teams. I would think if somebody's a pretty good judge of talent, they probably could find pretty darn good players and put together a pretty good basketball team, having that big of a base to choose from. But that's a matter of being able to recognize who can and can't play. Okay, which not all of them do very well.
Anyways, well, this is like the deadest time of year in basketball. If you're a member of Dub Nation, I don't blame you for being frustrated, waiting for the next big move, because the Warriors, the way they're constructed, it makes no sense if they stand pat like this. There's one more move coming. I can sense it. Logic dictates it. But until then, Rick, here we are. We're in the doldrums, and thanks for entertaining the masses while we're all waiting.
Well, for me, it's exciting because I'm going to get to see my son at the Olympics, and we're going to get to see the USA team in the Olympics. It's exciting to see that, and so that kind of makes it a little bit nicer. And and then of course they turned the summer league into something that never existed before. And they're on television and they're playing. You get people that come out, so they're doing a great job of keeping the sport in the mainstream, basically. Mm-hmm. Especially with the Olympic team that they have right now. Not so much 3x3 because it's not a big thing overseas. I'm telling you, some of the countries, like, it's huge. I mean, the people just absolutely love the 3x3 in some of these other countries, but it's not anywhere near as big as it is now. Most people, oh, why aren't the NBA guys playing? Well, the NBA people don't want to have them play there, but that's why I said buy the big three and turn it into something really cool and use the players on your roster to be able to play. I think they could turn it into something really special because, to be honest with you, it's much more fun to play 3-on-3 than it is 5-on-5. You play 5-on-5 and some teams do something, you can run up and down the court 6 times and never see the ball.
That's true.
Three
That
X
is very true. That is very true.
It's rare in 3x3 that you don't touch the ball in every possession. So, I mean,
Absolutely.
and it's pretty cool. They just need to clean it up a little bit because it's like mayhem out there. The physicality of it is just ridiculous. So, but anyway, I wish everybody the best. Enjoy the rest of the summer coming up, and let's pull for USA in both 3x3 men and women, and the same thing with basketball for the men and the women. I had the good fortune of being an integral part of that with my wife when she was running USA basketball for this, the disappointment for the men in the Seoul Olympics, but the Seoul Olympics, the dream team in Barcelona. I'll be a big hit when I go over to Paris because I actually have the dream team hat that I still have from back in those days that I'm going to wear when I go over there. And then, of course, Atlanta, we were there and I was there with her in Atlanta and all to be a part of that and to see all of that and to see all of these women and see the game on the women's side of things, how it's progressed, to the point where you've got, the Kate Clarks and some of the Jaws. So, I mean, some of these other women are just awesome players as well. And so to see that growth come about has been really fun for me. So basketball is always a special part of my life, and it's still.
Absolutely. And when does is there a schedule out for, because as just to remind people again, your son Canyon is part of the 3-on-3 men's basketball team striving for gold. Do we have a schedule yet, or could probably do another show when that starts, right? And
They'll
kind of
start. They start playing pool play, not pool play. They actually have. I think round robin. I think they play against everybody starting on the 29th, the 30th of July. 30th of July, they played 30th of July, the 31st. Then the first, I think they might be playing on the second too, and then the third is an off day, and then they move into the play for going into see who's going to wind up getting into the medal rounds. It's a little different format than the way they do stuff where they used to have the pool play. So, but they have a lot of really good teams. In fact, the first team that USA is playing is tough. It's like one of the top team in the world, the Serbian team. I mean, they've had some great battles with those guys. In fact, they lost a heartbreaker in the World Championship last year to them that they should have won, I thought. But a couple of bad calls by the officials at the end. And a ball, I tell people this, I've never seen a basketball so far below the rim come out that Jim that shot this. I don't know.
I do.
I don't know.
Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Out. And if it goes in, they were at 19-17. That's the game. They get 2 points, they win. They win the World Championship, World Cup.
Oh,
Wait, it's going to be fun to see, and I'm looking forward to that. And now I just got to hope that my Ball Hogs team in the Big Three finds a way to win this game up in Portland coming Saturday. But we got to try to stay alive to be for the playoffs. We had 2 games that I think that we kind of beat ourselves, and so now we're in a tough position, and we've got to find a way to get a win Saturday, and then a win in Cincinnati the week after that. And then I'll head over to Paris, and hopefully we'll still be alive to go play down in San Antonio after that, and it's in the playoffs. We have to go on win streak right now. We got to just win a bunch of games in a row right now if we have any chance at all. And my guys hopefully will do it because we have not played 2 good halves in any game so far this season. Still alive. I mean, so yeah, it's just been kind of crazy and just haven't shot the ball anywhere near as well as I know we're capable of doing it. And for some reason, and this has happened before where we played the first half and played well. We had a 26 point lead at 25 is halftime, and we're up 26-22, and we come out and just couldn't do anything offensively. Just stop moving, stop passing, stop playing the game the way you need to play. And then on top of it, the shots weren't dropping. And so we got our butts kicked too. And so now we have to come up with a win. So that's what it's like. It's tough being a coach. I mean, I can't even imagine coaching an NBA that 80-something games. It can be so frustrating at times when you.
I'm sure. I will say this, Rick. Your Ball Hogs were on CBS this last weekend, and it was great to see you in HD. You look good out there, patrolling the sideline, leading the Ball Hogs, and let's hope they get a win streak going. Let's hope the Warriors make a big move. Hopefully, the next time we host a show together, Lowry Markkinen will be a member of the Warriors, and if not Lowry, hopefully someone, because this Warriors team is a move away from if they're going to make any real noise this year. But Rick, it's always a pleasure, sir. Thank you.
Great. Bless everybody. Take care. See you.